Hey guys, this is Justin Lake, and this is my Module 3 for EDL 853, where we conducted special education interviews. I'll start off by letting you know, my district, the elementary, middle, and high school, and central office are all in one large, huge building. So I chose to interview our special education coordinator instead of one of our principals, because she technically is an administrator, and she obviously knows a little bit more about special education, I would think, than the regular principals. I split it up. I asked 3 questions to one of our high school paras named Joy, and then I asked 3 questions to one of our SPED teachers in the high school, Coach Collins, and then the last 3 questions I asked to the SPED coordinator. So the first question: what do you find to be the most challenging part of your role with regards to special education, and why? Joy told me it's always different, and every single year to deal with all the different personalities. You have to be able to build relationships, she said, with each individual student, because what methods might work in helping one kid could be what set the other kid off to make them completely shut down. She also said it's difficult handling the different academic and ability levels. Some of the kids that she deals with are really low, and others are actually very high when it comes to scores, but they struggle with test taking or the ability to read. So she says it is difficult managing the different academic levels that she has in the high school special education room, because we only have one teacher and one para for the entire high school. And then also she said it can be difficult handling different disabilities. This year our high school doesn't have any students with any physical disabilities, but I know last year before I got here we had a student who was in a wheelchair, and she said her day looked a lot different last year than it did this year. What is the most rewarding part of your job when dealing with special education students, parents, and other teachers, and why? She thinks the most important thing, I don't know why I put it second, she said she loves being thanked. She says she knows that she works her tail off and that she does everything she can to help these kids, and she said honestly the most rewarding part is when a student or a parent of a student tells her thank you for the help that she's given them. She also says she loves seeing her impact. You know, we've got a kid right now, he's one of my football players, basketball players, who really struggles with math. And there has been significant growth this year, and she's been a huge reason for it in his development in math. And so that is also rewarding for her. And to kind of go in line with those two, she feels like her job is important because, like I said before, there's just one SPED teacher and her for our entire high school for all the kids who are on IEPs or 504s or anything like that. And you know, without her, our high school students would be in a world of hurt. She makes a huge difference in our school. I mean, she's not the teacher, but golly, she does a boatload of stuff for everybody. How do you work with regular education teachers with students with special needs? Communication is key, she said. It's important to know what is being taught, what needs to be reinforced when those students go into the SPED room, so they can be on the same page, and so she's ready to either reteach or teach in a different way the lesson that the student learned in the regular classroom. And she says when she's in their regular classroom with them, she doesn't have to do it that much with the kids we have now, but make sure that her student isn't a distraction in any way, whether it be behavioral or just a distraction in any way possible, just to keep an eye on them so the other kids aren't, their learning isn't affected negatively. On to the SPED teacher questions with Coach Collins. How do you work effectively with parents of special needs children? He said, obviously there's annual IEP meetings where, all problems, concerns, accommodations, modifications and stuff can be adjusted or made. He stays in touch with them frequently through email and phone. And he likes to do this not only when something is maybe not going well, but also if big gains are made. I previously mentioned one of my athletes who struggles with math. Coach Collins, loves to call his mom and let her know when he does something great, when he improves significantly on a math test or math scores or his grade or something like that. So obviously if there's something going on that needs to be addressed that's negative, he'll stay in touch, but he also likes to stay in touch for all positive things as well. And also quarterly progress reports for his SPED students is another way to work effectively with the parents and stay in touch with them. How would you describe the role of special education teacher and the building principal? He said essentially the teacher needs to set the needed accommodations and modifications that go into the IEP, and then it's pretty much the principal's job to make sure that the IEPs are being followed in all the regular classrooms throughout the school. What characteristics do you seek in aspiring administrators with regards to special education? Coach said he's looking for somebody who's understanding. Special education is kind of ever changing, and you're going to try a bunch of different things, a bunch of different methods, and you might not find the most successful one immediately. So he's looking for somebody who's understanding and can appreciate that you're still continuing to work hard to try to find the right way to reach a kid. It just may take a little bit of time. He's looking for somebody who's willing to accommodate when necessary. He said previously he's worked at a school where the principal didn't always agree with the accommodations that he recommended, to whereas now the principal trusts him to make those accommodations and backs them 100%. And then also actually care about the SPED kids and not just look at them as the kids who go to Coach Collins' room, but actually look at them as Sherwood High School students just like the rest of them. Just because somebody may have a mental disability or physical disability doesn't mean they're not as important as any of the other, normal kids in the school. And he would hope that any administrator feels that same way. SPED coordinator questions. What child find procedures do we use? There's pre-K screenings that are done. We have parents as teachers that she said do a really great job of getting out in the community, and they can kind of identify some of the people that might be SPED appropriate, and they come back and tell Nancy, that's her name, who they are. Also the First Steps program, it's basically from birth to the age of 3, and it's through the state of Missouri. They also help identify and can notify Nancy of any students that we are going to have or that live in our district who are going to need SPED services. And then also Lay's advertising. They advertise through the radio, newsletters, and stuff like that. So, if parents think their kid is in need of SPED services and they hear these advertisements, they know who to call and when to call them before they enroll in the school. What advice do you have on supervision of special educational staff, including Paris, speech path, etc.? Always be observing. Even when you're walking down the hallway to fill up your water bottle, pay attention to what your paras are doing in the hall. How are they treating kids, stuff like that. She said paras can be difficult because SPED teachers a lot of the time make the decisions on where the para goes and when the para goes there. So sometimes it can be harder to observe them, but that kind of falls under more of the SPED teacher's job duty, I guess. And then also when she likes to do training with SPED teacher or SPED administration for the paras. And I know she makes our paras go every couple years to some specific training, so they are better qualified or better prepared to do their jobs at our school the way she wants them done. What advice do you have for a first-year administrator? Communicate and observe. She thinks personally that the first year as an administrator, you shouldn't make too many changes. You should be observing things that you might want to start tweaking, in your next year, the year after that. But she recommends that change is a lot easier when it's done over time and not immediately. So the first year, it's important to always be open and communicate constantly and openly, so there's never any confusion about anything and people feel like they can come to you. But also always be observing the things that you might want to change and make sure you do them. If there's something you need to change immediately, do it. But if it's something that you can slowly, gradually make all these changes, not only does it keep the staff happier, but it's easier for the staff to transition when they only have to deal with, one change this semester, one change this semester, and then, maybe another one, so on and so forth. Change can be difficult, especially when people get set in their ways. So that is the conclusion of my, I guess you could say, SPED department interviews at Sherwood High School. See you later, guys.